Welcome to Master Domaining. I'm Gene Pimentel, and in this session, we'll talk about the best tactics in replying to your prospect. I've given you a good amount of information already regarding how you should respond to your domain prospects, and in this session, I'll go over the most common tactics that you should use when replying to your prospects. The two scenarios are: Number 1, when you reply to a prospect that responded to your initial email. Number 2 is when you reply to a prospect who has reached out to you first and inquired about your domain name. In the first scenario, the prospect has their defenses up more than in the second scenario. That's because you were the first to contact them, so they have the impression you're hungry to sell. Whether or not that's the actual situation, you need to always be in the state of mind that you don't need this sale. You need to come across as take it or leave it. If you're not interested, thank you and goodbye. Remember, that's the impression you want to project. Never give the prospect any reason to believe that you're desperate. Quite often, that means pulling the deal away from them and calling their bluff. It often means you need to step away from that prospect for a few days or weeks and let them be the one to come back to you asking about the domain name. It really is all about positioning. In the second scenario, you automatically have the advantage because they are approaching you with their request. The prospect is in the frame of mind that they are the one trying to convince you to sell, rather than thinking you are trying to sell to them. See the difference? When the prospect is the one who initiates the contact, you are simply responding to their request, which they very much anticipate and want you to do. Now keep in mind that the extent of your back and forth with the prospect really depends on whether you're taking the quantity sales approach or the quality sales approach. They both are perfectly fine approaches. The quantity approach is when you as a domainer just want to quickly flip newly registered domains for $150 or $200 and rapid fire your sales. You're depending on volume sales. Even at those low prices, domainers are able to earn a six-figure income by selling 1 or 2 domains every day of the year. The quality approach is when you as a domainer want to find the best buyers at the highest price the market will bear. This type of sale typically is in the $1,000 to $3,000 range, but of course can go much higher depending on how perfect the match is between the domain and buyer. The quality approach takes more research and patience, but once perfected can catapult your profits dramatically. Many domainers start with the quantity approach and fine-tune their skills along the way, and eventually reach out for the quality approach. Let's go back to the scenario 1 and 2 for your reply to the prospect. In case you haven't noticed, my approach to either scenario is to keep my message and replies as short as possible. You don't want to give the prospect too much to think about other than purchasing. If you give them other things to think about, like rankings, traffic, SEO, backlinks, or anything else really, you're setting yourself up for failure. You are much better off not bringing up other details unless the prospect specifically asks you. In that case, the prospect is already thinking about that and is anticipating for you to provide details. If the prospect doesn't ask for details, don't volunteer them because it often leads to confusion and loss of interest in the domain itself. One of the better negotiation techniques in replying to someone who is offering you an amount lower than you'd like is to say, "This domain is far more valuable to me than that. I prefer to keep and develop this domain for myself for any offer less than whatever price. Thanks for your offer, and if you'd like to make a better offer, please do quickly because I am contacting several other buyers." Now don't use that word for word. That's just to give you the structure of positioning yourself and not to look desperate. Notice that I'm almost taking away the domain from them at this point. If they are truly a good buyer for the domain name, they'll be back in a few days to counter offer. If they aren't, then don't look back. Just contact other potential buyers. This really isn't difficult at all. You just need to inject some common sense, remember that you are the one in control, and you have something that they desire, and there are lots of other prospects. Persistence and consistency in your efforts are what can significantly make you a great and successful domainer.